For so long, disabled people have been seen as through a medical model. And what I mean by that is that our bodies are broken. There's all these myths that come along with that, right? That, we're not educated, or we're not looking for love, or all the things that non-disabled folks also want.
Ahoy there. Welcome to POVme. Small world, big talk. Let's start this with one of my favorite things. Cold, hard facts. Did you know that disabled representation on screen came at 3.1% according to GLAAD? That's terrible, which is why when I saw Lauren Riddoff, aka Makari, from Marvel's Eternals, I lost my mind. And now that brings me to my second favorite thing, superheroes. When I saw Makari sign Just Like Me, it was inexplicable to see a superhero who's disabled and not a villain. After seeing Makari, I immediately thought that, hey, maybe someday I could become a superhero. Could I? Hello, friends. Y'all ready to talk about representation on screen?
Yes, we're ready.
When did you first realize your identity or community was different from what was represented on screen? And how did that make you feel? For me, I grew up in an all-deaf community, so that didn't really match what I saw on TV. And there were not many deaf people on TV, so I guess I always knew.
I agree with that. I feel like I've always known that I was different, and people make it really obvious to you. But the first time I was aware of it was when I was explaining to someone how I was Egyptian and they wanted to learn more. And so I told them, oh, I'm North African. And then they were like, wait, but you're not Black though. And that's when it hit me. There is no good representation of Egyptians on screen.
Yeah, coming from Trinidad, loads of family have a strong Trinidadian accent that I sometimes break out myself when talking to parents or grandparents. I have never seen that on screen. It's usually almost always shown as something bad, something to get rid of, which I really disagree with.
Oh my. Have there been some times where you felt that the representation was bad on screen? Because for me, people have the portrayal of all deaf people being able to lip read. And really, that's not true. And that leaves the burden of communication on that deaf person. And that's not fair to being able to communicate while trying to lip read. And there are also some hearing people who are put in deaf roles, and it's easy for me to identify that they are not culturally deaf. And there is a huge disconnect.
Without a doubt, it would have to be Pirates of the Caribbean. It was just odd to have your whole identity reduced to slightly tanned white pirates. Now, anytime I tell someone I'm from Trinidad, which is in the Caribbean, I get a whole 2-minute spiel on that pirate movie.
Relate. Muslims are represented in TV, but in the worst way possible. I remember I was watching a movie with my friends one time, and we were watching, and suddenly we understood what the characters were saying, and we were like, oh my God, they're speaking Arabic. And then when we started to pay attention to what they were saying, we understood that they were terrorists. And then it hit us, of course. The Arab characters have to be the terrorists. It was just really upsetting.
That is so upsetting. Have there been any instances of good representation? For me, there was a movie called Coda that portrayed many deaf actors and won a large award at the Oscars.
I've seen representation of myself in bits and pieces, like when there's a character that struggles with learning or is questioning their gender, but never as a whole, just in tidbits here and there, if that makes sense.
Honestly, I don't think I've seen that much good Muslim representation on TV, but I hope to be the change of that. I hope that I can be the good Muslim girl representation for another Muslim girl out there.
Yes. Did you know that the writers of Into the Spider-Verse stated that they would give Miles' Black and Latino heritage as much importance as his Spider-Man persona. So without further ado, welcome to POVme, Spencer.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. So first I want to start with, obviously you can't see because we're on Zoom here, but I don't have any legs. I was born with legs, but I was born with a genetic disease that caused the muscles in my legs not to work. So as a kid, they were removed just below my pelvis so I could get around better. And I currently navigate the world on my hands, and then I also use a wheelchair. Now, you asked what I do. So I'm a motivational speaker and content creator. So I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and I use my platform to share a little bit of my journey about what it's like to be gay and disabled and all the lovely things that come with that, and also some of the challenges as well.
Wow, thanks for sharing. And as we all know, there are a lot of stereotypes surrounding the disabled community. How do we fight these stereotypes?
Yeah, this is a great question. I think the first thing that we need to focus on is that, for so long, disabled people have been seen as through a medical model. And what I mean by that is that our bodies are broken. And so when we're seen through a medical model as our bodies are broken, then there's all these myths that come along with that, right? That, we're not educated, or we're not looking for love, or all the things that non-disabled folks also want. And so I think it's important for us to understand that and to start looking at disability through the social model. And the social model is, my body isn't broken. My body is just fine. What we actually are overcoming is, I'm not overcoming my disability, I'm overcoming ableism. And what that means is, ableism is basically a term that says non-disabled folks are superior and disabled folks are inferior. When in actuality, we're all equal and we all want the same things. We all want to participate in community and potentially find love and have a job and go to school and all of those things. So I think it's really important for us when we're talking about stereotypes to understand where they come from, and then how we can start to break those down a little bit by remembering that my body isn't broken. My body is amazing. It's just the barriers that exist in society and in our own thinking and systems that are keeping us out of the conversation and being represented in spaces like this.
Wow, that's amazing. I think I speak for us all. We have experienced the burden of representation of an entire community. Have you felt that way?
Absolutely. Having two identities of being someone with a disability and also being gay and being a part of the queer community, I feel that pressure a lot, right? And specifically because that's what I use social media for. And I think it's so important for us, number one, to just remember that we don't have to represent everyone. We can represent ourselves. And for me, what you're seeing in real time on my social media and also if you're speaking is I'm learning about the disability justice movement. I'm learning about the queer movement in real time and sharing those learnings as I go. So I think it's really important for us to understand that we can be a part of the community, and sometimes we can represent the community, but we don't represent everyone. There's so many different disabilities. Savannah, you're deaf, which is incredible, and I have a physical disability. And that doesn't mean we have to represent the entire community. We can speak for ourselves and represent our own lived experiences. And every now and then, if it feels comfortable, represent communities as well.
Wow, that was so insightful. Thank you so much for joining us. My
pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye. Nice to meet you. Bye.
Would you rather have the power of flying for 24 hours, or would you rather have a lifetime power of levitating, but only 5 inches off the ground? Who's ready to design some superhero alter egos?
Yes!
Me.
Ready?
Get set.
Go.
I can't wait to see your superhero alter egos. Yasmin.
My alter ego is Yasmin the Brave. She's the first hijabi Egyptian superhero, and she uses her super strength to beat the bad guys.
That is so cool.
My superhero is XJ. They're a non-binary Trini cyborg who wears a carnival fit. Their costume is epic, and they can fly.
That's awesome. My superhero alter ego is Helena. She is the smartest woman on the planet, and she can sign every sign language known to man. But the only thing she can't do is lip read, because not all deaf people can read lips. Thank you so much for joining us on POVme. Catch you next time.